Split energy feels like I don't know which way to go, and I've got momentum built in both directions, and doubting of the desire and the desiring of the desire, like that the tarot card with the Two of Swords.
Hold my hand, let me go sit down and just watch a show. Let my bright light shine on you. I wanna vibe. Tell me everything you know. I close my eyes, I feel alive. It's like everything is wrong and everything is right at the same damn time.
We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Yes. Co-creation at its best. Are you knowing what you are wanting? Does your desire feel good to you? That's the most important question and answer. Because if your desire feels good to you, even though it hasn't come to full manifestation, if you know what you want and you can't yet see it, but you still feel good about it, that means that you are not offering resistance, which means it is unfolding. It is turning from the desire, which before you see it is a vibration. It is turning from that vibration to thoughts, to word, to things. In other words, it's in this process of becoming, as has everything that you now witness in your physical environment. Everything that you see or hear or smell or taste or touch was vibration that evolved until it could be received in a more literal sense. You are vibrational beings, but most humans don't understand that because you are so literal, you are so accustomed to what you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch that the things that you're thinking about don't feel as real to you, but they are. They are reality on the way to becoming the full-fledged materialized reality that you want. So often, as humans, you think of reality as only that which has already manifested. But we want to ask you a very important question. If you are, as most humans are, mostly fixated on what is already manifested, do you understand that you're not making room for new manifestations? If you're just looking at what is, you're just regurgitating it in different forms. So your life is different faces in different places, but much the same experience day after day. In order for you to experience the revolutionary expansion that you have already created, we're asking you to pay a lot less attention to what is and more attention to the vibrational version that is in the state of becoming. Because that is the leading edge, and you are leading edge creators. You're out here on the leading edge of all that is.
If the thought of that desire is accompanied by negative emotion, that's my indicator. It's time to detach from that. It's time to change my point of attraction onto something else. And that doesn't mean getting rid of the desire. It just means removing my attention from it. And as soon as I remove my attention from it and I focus on something else and I stop trying to force things into place, because forcing is always adding resistance, and I just allow, I step into allowing, I focus on what feels good. Something totally unrelated to the original desire. It doesn't matter what it is. When I move my energy away from that point of attraction of my desire and I place it on something else that feels better, I am then uplifting my own energy. I'm raising my vibration. I'm putting myself in a place of alignment so that those desires that I have been focusing on for so long can come in. If I don't remove my attention away from that point of attraction and I continue to focus on it in a lack mindset, it cannot come. Because I'm holding my energy in a place that will actually cause me to feel stuck in some instances. When split energy is present, you feel the feeling of not being able to move forward. just being stuck in the same place, maybe seeing the same things, but, you know, what's that saying? Different day, same bullshit. You know, like, I'm going to keep repeating the same things, and I'm going to keep manifesting what is over and over and over again. If I'm focusing on my desire in a lackful way, I am going to experience the lack of that desire in my reality. It will not come in until I either move my attention away from it, or I learn how to focus on it in a way that feels good. I learn how to believe that I'm worthy for these desires to come.
This is, in general, it seems for me easier to experience sadness than to experience joy.
So let's say you're in San Francisco and you get in your car, you're at the top of the hill, and you decide that you're going to find out what momentum is. So you release the parking brake and take your car out of gear, and you just nudge your car just a little bit. And it just rolls down that hill. The momentum of it, if you decide you're going to stop it, you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of the hill trying to stop it, because you're not going to stop it. Momentum is a powerful thing. You got to catch it in the earlier stages, because once momentum is going, in other words, you might say, yeah, I pushed my car from the top of a hill, and it's just easier to let it go right into the bay than to try to stop it. And we say, yes, because that's a law of physics. And the law of physics is rampantly involved in law of attraction. It's all about physics. It's all about inertia. It's all about movement. It's all about momentum. There isn't anything in the laws of physics that isn't all wrapped up in law of attraction. That's what it all is about, you see. And we're not asking you to defy the laws of physics, and we're not asking you to defy the law of attraction. We would encourage you, when your car starts to roll a little bit at the top of the hill, that you get out in front of it and you stop it when it's easy to stop. We wouldn't ask you to do otherwise. Stop it when it's easy to stop. And some of those thoughts are easy to stop, and sometimes you sort of wallow in them, and then there's momentum, and then for sure it's easier to think those thoughts. For sure it is. You're not making it up. For sure it is. But the question isn't what's easier, because law of attraction answers that question every day. It's not what's easier, it's what feels better. That's the question you got to ask. So, Abraham, it's so much easier for me to think thoughts that don't feel good than to think thoughts that do feel good. Well, we get that because your habit of thought is causing that to happen. But if we asked you the question, which feels the best, you'd give a totally different answer. And if you really believe that you have no choice other than to feel bad, then we've got nothing for you. But if you start believing, hey, I can feel a little better, I can choose a little better thought, I can start my day off a little better, I can tune into my inner being because I've found no thought, and then I can let my inner being wean me off the negative thoughts and wean me on to the better feeling thoughts. Because your inner being will. Your inner being knows so many wonderful things about your future relationship, but you can't hear it. You've got your tuner tuned to a different channel, you see. So we're weaving in and out. We're wanting to give you the laws of physics, and we're wanting to talk to you about law of attraction, and we're wanting to talk about that different point of view that your inner being wants, and we're asking you to use your guidance system. And we know that you sort of kind of know all of this, but the bottom line is, if you want to feel bad, keep thinking those thoughts. And if you want to feel good, stop thinking those thoughts. And if it's hard to stop thinking those thoughts, then go to sleep. And if it's hard to stop thinking those thoughts, then meditate. Esther remembers the first time she sat to meditate, and she quieted her mind. And they set the timer for 15 minutes, and she said, let's do it again. And they set it for 15 minutes, and she said, let's do it again. And she said, let's do it again. And during that 45 minutes, she felt completely detached from her body. Well, that was a communication. She was sensing the energy, and while she didn't have any framework in which to understand it, she was getting ready to be ready for all of these words. So just feel the satisfaction of what it is, and don't try to make it more than what it is, because you can't. Whatever it is what it is, and just let yourself enjoy it, whatever it is, as much as you can, and then it will become more and more and more, if you want it to. And after a little while, it won't be hard to stop thinking those thoughts. But if every day you think those thoughts and every day you don't feel good, then every day it's going to be easy to think the thoughts that don't feel good. And so you just got to ask your question. It's like, I don't know how it got started, but I started hitting myself with the hammer. I don't know how it got started. It doesn't feel good, but it's easier to keep doing it than to stop. And we say, really? You say, yeah, really? It's a lot easier to keep doing this than to stop. And we say, well, really? Yeah, it's easier. It's easier. Now that seems ridiculous. And so does this. It seems ridiculous. It seems ridiculous. It's like, I have no control over my thoughts. That's not even close to true. Or I only have one thing to think about and it sucks. That's not close to true either.
What about things that make me feel good, but maybe they're bad for me? You know, let's say I enjoy eating. Maybe I eat too much.
Yeah. You should just get in that car and release the brake and let it... It takes some sorting out, doesn't it? We get it, that always from the beginning of our offering, someone would give us a worst case scenario because we're asking them to find something good to feel about, and they'd say, well, how can you feel good when this is happening, or this is happening, or this is happening, or this is happening? We say, you have to start gaining control when it's easy. And when you have something that's really, really bothering you, that's usually not the best subject to start trying to gain control about. Do you believe that law of attraction is a real thing?
Yes.
And do you believe that your inner being is a real being?
Yes.
And do you believe that your inner being has interest in you being happy?
Definitely.
And do you believe that your inner being thinks the thoughts that are the most conducive to your ongoing happiness?
Yes.
And do you believe that sometimes you tap into those thoughts?
Yes.
And do you believe that sometimes you're not tapped into them?
Right.
And do you know that your emotions tell you the difference between whether you are or you aren't? And do you believe that sometimes it's easier for you to choose good feeling thoughts than others? So that's what the process is. Just do your best to feel as good as you can feel when you can feel it. Finding a glimpse of something that felt good and then just riding that for a little while until it became more dominant and 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 more dominant.
It's like little steps at a time, you know. Anytime you feel your thoughts or your energy flowing towards your desire that doesn't feel good to you at this present moment because you're doubting it or you're not having belief in it, or whatever the situation may be, every time you catch yourself going in that direction, recenter, refocus yourself in the now. Focus on something else that you do prefer. Because when you remove your attention from that lack mindset and you put your attention on something that feels better, you are then allowing space for those desires to come into your reality. Everything is energy. What you do with your energy matters. I cannot say this enough times because it really matters. You are the creator of your own reality and you do it through your focus. And I know a lot of times maybe we don't want to hear that. Maybe if we have been creating a reality that doesn't feel good to us, we don't want to hear that we are the creator of our own reality. Trust me, I know. I have been there. Past years, I was creating by default like all the time. It's something that we slip in and out of a lot of times because a lot of times we have these blips of awakening where we can remember and align more easily. My intention is to stay within that awareness of who I really truly am and focus positively, knowing that things are always working out for me. Things are always working out for me. Now that was a hard one for me to really embrace at one time. Because I looked around and I was like, well, it doesn't look like things are working out. You know, how can I say that and feel like I'm being real with myself? But I realized, wait, even though things didn't maybe work out exactly to the T how I had wanted them or planned them out, they still always worked out. So focus positively, if you can, on your desires. And if you can't, change your point of attraction. Focus on something else, because you don't want to have that split energy that's going to leave you feeling stuck. Move forward in a positive momentum. I want to thank you again for being here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you good vibes. And I'm wishing you all the best, always.
Quieted mind puts you in the receptive mode.
There's no one in this room that can stop me. Your bright light is shining on me. Walk out the door, 2 steps, I'ma make it real easy for you. 2 steps, this music's really giving me goosebumps. Cherry chapstick on my lips, but who cares?